20 here, Big 550 KTRS. Joe Miller is with us. He is our, I don't want to say you're our second favorite, but you're one of our favorites from the Show Me and Stoop. Joe Miller, you are an expert when it comes to transportation, right? That's your expertise.
Yeah, that's my area of expertise, and infrastructure.
And infrastructure. Okay, so this new football stadium, this proposed football stadium is sort of right in your bailiwick. You have written an article, a blog post, a research paper called If the Riverfront Stadium Plan Had Two Wheels, It Would Be a Bicycle. You can find that at, what's the website?
ShowMeDaily.org.
Okay, what's this blog post all about?
Well, this blog post is talking about the changes in the plan for the Riverfront Stadium.
Right.
And just basically the point was that they've changed some of the niceties with where the public funding is going to come from. But in the end, that really doesn't matter so much because you're just sort of shifting around where the money's coming from. But the real story is just the amount of contingencies that this task force and Dave Peacock, who is the head of it, don't control.
Right.
But yet they're depending on for the funding of the stadium and for that plan's ultimate success. And they just, in the end, it becomes ridiculous when you start to put them all together.
Okay, break it down for us.
So, with the stadium plan, it's going to be $405 million from the public. That's what they want.
Okay.
So, if they can get that with a public vote that they may or may not win,
Right.
and from the state legislature, which may or may not vote for this, or if Nixon tries to go around them, that would be a huge mess. But in any case, so say those two things happen.
Yes.
Then you have the problem of, well, Dave Peacock himself no longer thinks that Kroenke wants to be in St. Louis anymore.
He sort of alluded to that last week.
Yeah, but now Dave Peacock, who heads the stadium task force here, says he thinks he's committed to L.A., which essentially means that Kroenke either has to sell the Rams or we need to bring a new team to St. Louis. So now, okay, so you've set it up. You've got the money for the stadium. The Regional Sports and Complex Authority in St. Louis bulldozes the north side using eminent domain, which I don't know who gave them eminent domain power, but that seems like not the greatest idea. Then, after all of that, then you have to get the NFL to convince Kroenke to sell the Rams or bring another team in. And then once you've done that, you have to get that new owner and the NFL to pony up half the money for a new stadium plan. And then beyond that, you're talking about the MLS, which I know they're visiting the area today, but
Right.
there's no commitment for a team to come here. So you build that, and then an MLS team comes, and then they bring a sports hall of fame here once you get the MLS team. I mean, these things, every single part of this plan is just contingent on things that they don't control. And it's like, it's the old joke. If I had two wheels, I'd be a bicycle. Well, I guess this would be a plan if the MLS had agreed to come here, if we had an owner that wanted to come here, but none of those things actually exist.
I say this on the radio, and there are some people who call me, all sorts of names that I can't say on the radio, but they say, don't be a hater. You don't really understand the NFL bylaws. You don't know what's going on. I mean, I think people like and want the NFL here, but the news media included, some of them, are looking at this through rose-colored glasses that just defy common sense and logic.
I think that's perfectly true. I think they really want the Rams to stay. But we're not talking about a situation in which if we approve this money, Kroenke is standing there next to Dave Peacock saying, just approve this,
right,
and we'll be here, and the MLS commissioner to the right of him being like, and we're ready to come here too, and
right,
and we've got plans for you, St. Louis. It's none of that is set up. And the only thing we have right now is approve this plan, and maybe.
It's even worse than that. It's Dave Peacock accidentally bumps into Stan Kroenke at a Super Bowl party, and Stan Kroenke says, "Oh, right, you're the one trying to build a stadium for me. Good luck with that. Take care now." I mean, that's what the facts are. And so we're trying to build a stadium for a guy who bumps into the guy trying to build him a stadium at a Super Bowl party. It's just delusional to think that the Rams are staying. So Dave Peacock finally has come to that sort of conclusion, or that has at least announced that, okay, chances are the man doesn't want to be here, and chances are the NFL is going to grant him whatever he wants.
My fear here is that this is looking increasingly like what happened in 1988 when the football Cardinals left town. I mean, the plan for the Dome started before they had left, and they wanted to keep them, and then they were leaving anyway, and suddenly it was like, well, that was such a great idea. Everybody had convinced themselves that was such a great idea anyway, that they went ahead with it with no team.
Right.
And then they had to use a sweetheart deal to bring in the Rams. I mean, at this point, we're already talking about at least a Kroenke-less Rams, if not a different team playing in St. Louis. Nobody's committed any money aside from Dave Peacock and some of the civic leaders. Nobody's approved any of that, and we're just headed down this road where we just need a football team so bad that we're willing to turn over the store, and I think that's going to be bad for the taxpayer.
Well, we did that once, but this other idea, Joe Miller, with the Show Me Institute, that you know what would be better for us? He should just sell the team to Dave Peacock or another billionaire, and then he can go do whatever he wants, and then we just keep the team. I mean, it's almost like those sports callers who say, yeah, you know what, we should trade back for Shelby Miller. Let's give them a player we don't really want for Shelby Miller. I mean, it's sports talk, but we're talking about stadiums, because Stan Kroenke's not going to just arbitrarily decide to give up the Rams because no other team is for sale. It's just sort of delusional conversation.
Yeah, I mean, it's very convoluted. I mean, the plan for success now is, I mean, like this is less a plan now and more a vision of like what could be. And frankly, that's not how you should be running public policy. And I fear for what happens when if and when you just get this money turned over to people who are willing to do anything to get football into St. Louis and really aren't concerned with the economics of it or with if it makes any sense.
Well, they can't pass a gas tax down in Jefferson City. So how are they going to vote up or down on new stadium bonds with this money that's already been allocated going forward?
I don't know how the legislature is going to do that. I would be surprised if they did. I mean, the thing that people are saying is that maybe Nixon will just go around them and attempt to extend them anyway in a possibly legal, possibly illegal maneuver. So, I mean, like you on the city level where some of the money's coming from, you have the regional sports complex authority here suing the city to try to stop anybody from voting on it. And in Jefferson City, you have the governor saying, well, maybe I'll just like bypass this whole, legislative process and just extend bonds anyway and give out tax credits anyway. And I mean, if there's so much public support behind this, one has to wonder why nobody seems to want anyone to vote on this.
Well,
nobody.
How can the governor just extend bonds and extend the ability to pay off those bonds? Doesn't the legislature sort of write the checks or spend the money?
Some people still believe that. I'm not sure if the governor does.
$405 million. The vote in the city, yes, no, maybe. Legislative, yes, no, maybe. Eminent domain, which has really not been talked about. And Dave Peacock was asked about it. And his answer was, we just hope the fine people who owned that land wouldn't stand in the way of progress for St. Louis. And then, of course, once that all happens, then you have to get the NFL to get a team here. And then that owner has to agree to spend $400 million for a new stadium.
Yeah, and then for the MLS, they have to decide they want to come here.
Right.
And
the MLS is a bonus.
Oh yeah, a bonus that just will hopefully fall from the sky for all of us.
All right, there you go. Anything else we need to know, Joe Miller?
Well, if you want to read anything else that we've written on this, you can go to showmeinstitute.org or showmedaily.org. We've done lots of work on this. And if there's any updates, we'll be sure to be writing about it.
What's interesting is that you are the infrastructure guy for the Show Me Institute, and you know all about roads and toll roads and gas taxes. And how'd you get here?
I took the Metrolink.
You took the Metrolink. Where is your car?
My car does not exist.
You don't own a car?
I don't own a car.
You don't own a car. You green. You. Joe, have a good time. Thanks.
Thanks for having me.
7:30 here, Big 550, KTRS. In all seriousness, I got a problem with